Hey guys, it's Mike from BavhausTV, and to the left of me we have an F97 X3M Comp. It's a 2020, and we have to do a tie rod on it. So this is a genuine tie rod that we got from BMW. We also have a boot kit along with it. It's the inner and the outer. And if you look right here, there's this very small point that is machined down, and this is exactly where this tie rod had sheared on the passenger side of this X3M Comp. Now, the G20s, some X3s, you know, like G01s, there's the NHTSA Supra. There's actually a recall for their tie rods, and they're very similar, but this tie rod is very specific to the X3M Comp, so it does not fit into that recall. And it's the X3M Comp and the X5M Comp. They share the same tie rod, but although it is different, we ran into the shearing point being the same as the ones that's covered within the recall. So unfortunately this was not covered within the recall, but it's the first that we're seeing these tie rods break, and it's pretty interesting. I wonder if this is going to be something that BMW is going to decide to cover later on, because it is a huge safety issue, obviously, to lose your steering. This wheel is completely free on this side. It doesn't look like it now, but we'll show you when we actually get it up on the lift. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna show you guys how it's broken. We're gonna show you how to repair it, and then kind of just go from there. Alright, so the complaint was that this car was driving and then suddenly it lost steering, and after I received the call I thought it'd be something like steering angle sensor or something off by the way it was being described to me, and then when the owner got outside the car, said that one of the wheels was facing a different direction, which we immediately knew at that moment he lost the tie rod, which is crazy because this car is only a couple of years old and mileage isn't that high. But that moving like that freely is a clear indicator that something happened here. There is some curbing here on the wheel that is unrelated, and there's some spacers put in here, but they're not very large, and I don't think that it would screw with the geometry at all since it's post tie rod. I don't think that that would be something that would cause the tie rod to shear, and those are obviously sold by, I think, SSR for the F97, so I'm not really too concerned with either of those things being the issue for why this tie rod snapped. I know some people might have brought those up as points, but I don't think that that's what it's going to be. So let's get in there quick and show you guys what it looks like sheared, and then we'll show you guys what the replacement looks like. Alright, so here you can see clearly that the tie rod is sheared in the middle of that point that I was showing you guys earlier, that kind of like milled down area. What's interesting about it is it looks like in both places it was bent down prior to it shearing, and it's like sheared like a clean break at the bottom. So I think that's a little interesting to look at. So something happened. If you were to put those two pieces back together, roughly, it broke very strangely. So that would have to be flipped around, but yeah, I really don't understand how or why that broke. It's obviously a huge safety concern. We're definitely gonna give some feedback regarding this to BMW North America, send them some pictures and even this video, but aside from that, let's just get it fixed. All right, so we're gonna take the wheel off. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is remove this center plate here. So that's held in with a bunch of 8mm screws. So the first thing I want to go to the driver's side and turn the wheel to the right so that this inner tie rod comes all the way out. So next thing I want to do is take this piece off. This is held in with just a couple of those 8mm as well, just up top. That's going to give us access to the top of that boot. Alright, I'm going to take this one out. And then there's just another one on the other side. Just move that piece out of the way. Gives us clear access to that steering rack. All right, so now we're going to basically disconnect back here. There's a clamp, and then right here there's another clamp, and we want to just remove this boot. All right, so I just take a pair of clippers or dikes and go to the back, and there's a special type of tool to remove these and install these clamps back here, but they're kind of one-time use, and the new one comes with one anyways, so I just kind of pinch them and twist them. It'll be a little bit difficult to get to, but once you do, it's not too hard to remove it. There we go. Okay, so it just takes a little bit of finesse, but there's room for it. Pinch it and then pull it off, and it's really only a couple of these little tiny metal tabs holding it in place, so they just pop right off. Okay, and the next one we're gonna do, it's actually gonna be this one right up here, and this one's pretty straightforward. You just pinch, pull it off, and you just take the boot, pull it forward, And there you go. This is the inner that we're gonna be replacing, and we need to get access to this right here. And then the outer, we can also remove after. All right, so we're gonna put our inner tie rod tool on. Just need to get in there. Pretty tight fit with these. Something like that. All right, so we just have our tool put on the inner tie rod. Justin's just gotta pull this out of the way. I gotta get this lined up enough to get it on. Lock it. Okay, so it's locked there. Take a big 1/2 inch ratchet and then start turning it. And we should have broke it free. All right, so that is our inner side of the inner. Now we have to just remove the outside, which is held in, I believe, by a 21mm nut right here. All right, so now we're gonna remove this. 21mm impact, we just have an extension on it. So now we're gonna grab our inner, this is our new one, and we're going to put that in. Just gonna get it as tight as I can by hand, and then we're gonna torque it to the spec. All right, so for the inner tie rod, for some reason with ISTA, we weren't able to find a torque spec. So normally these I think are like 80 and change, anywhere from like mid 70s to low 100s in terms of Newton meters. Pretty much what that means is just get it tight. You'll feel when it's tight all the way, and it's not something that if you do by hand, you're gonna be able to strip. So we're just gonna put our tool back on. I'm not sure if this is just not really meant to be serviced. It's weird that they sell the part, but they don't have a spec available from the dealer. But we're just gonna put this back on. All right. So like right there, that's all the way tight. And we are all set to put our boot on. So we're gonna take this, put our clamp here. I like to get it right on top. So we're just gonna get it to the point where that's clipped in up here. Okay, so it should be right around there. Okay, won't go anymore. And then the way I normally do this is to get it kind of in a position like that, and then it pops on. So right there, we're good. Just want to make sure this doesn't go further back at all, and it doesn't. So we can take our new clamp up front. These are kind of a pain, so yeah, let me grab some different pliers. So I'm just using these now. Get that on, put it in the position like that. Doesn't really matter where you leave it. And then you're gonna go in, and you need to get some flush pliers. So whatever position you can get it in, so that you can grab on to that square part flush. And I'm thinking, honestly, we'll try up top first. So I'm gonna use these side cuts, and the reason is because they have reinforcement here, because this is gonna take a little bit of effort to actually get going, but once you get it going, crimp just fine. Like that, see, it won't come off, and we're all set there. Next, we're going to measure and reinstall our outer tie rod. All right, so technical service information from ISTA calls this a flat rate tie rod. So the outer can be changed without needing an alignment. They give you this point to measure from, and I'm thinking that that could be related to why this shears here, because they make it an obvious place to measure from, and I think by thinning it out that much, that's where it shears. Anyways, right where this kind of dent starts, we want to get a piece of measuring tape right up there, and then measure to the center of the ball joint. So here we're looking at like, so 6 1/4. So that's what we want to get the new one lined up to. And then I'm gonna do this the old style way too, where I just count the threads. So we have, let's call this one a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 looking from the top. So if it's 6 1/4 and 10 from the top, we know the alignment's gonna be good to go. Should still get an alignment after, but that's for the owner of the car to do. All right, so we're gonna take this. Now we can pop it in whatever direction we want. Let's put it over here so it's the easiest to deal with. We're gonna put this guy on. Looks like it's probably right there. Just gonna go and measure. A couple more. Get all on. All right, so that's our 6 1/4. And then now I'm gonna count the threads, same way I just did before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm gonna turn it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna go double check the other one. All right, so measuring again, right from there to there, 6 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the last one 10. So we know we're all set. And now, it doesn't matter as long as we don't do a full rotation on this. I'm gonna go pop this back into where it needs to go, like so. Next, we're gonna put a nut on. I'm gonna hit it with an impact. Okay, right there it stops. All right, so now we can adjust this so that it's straight, like so. And then I'm gonna take this and torque it to 175 Newton meters, quite a bit. All right. Now we're just gonna mark it, make sure that doesn't move. All right, so with the wheel all the way to the right, you wanna kick this tie rod all the way to the right, so then it has a full sweep. And we're going to torque this. It's a T50, I think, or a 13, 14. I'll double check in a second. But T50, and it goes to 32 Newton meters. This is just to lock in the adjustment. All right, and by BMW standards, that can be finished enough to leave. Of course, we want to recommend that you go get an alignment after getting a tie rod done, but if you did the proper measurements and everything worked out correctly, then you should be all set. All right, so now that we're all set there, we can put our plastic pieces back on, which are more of a pain in the ass than you'd expect. This way. There we go. All right. This one in first. This one back in. All right. All right. Next, we're gonna put this plate back up. Make sure it's going in the proper spot. A couple things over here, but it goes like all the way back. Last one to go in. To get a couple in, easy to hold. And I go and put all these back in by hand just because it's really easy to break things when you use an impact to put this kind of stuff back up. And I always see these broken and missing, so I'm not trying to be the guy that does it. Right, start tightening it up if you like the spot it's in. Alright, so our wheel had a spacer on it, so we're just going to line that back up. Spacers always add a little bit of interesting dynamic to this. These get torqued to 140 Newton meters. If it goes over, that's fine. I'm doing that kind of by feel after 140. Alright, so we have to clear some codes because obviously when the tie rod broke, it threw some chassis stabilization codes. So here, there's a driver assist notification. Got 4 notices there. It's also popping up here with like a little wrench, and then it's got like a DSC logo as well. So we're just gonna go power up our little tablet here and connect to Pro Tool and clear all these codes. So we're just gonna connect to the car. Okay, multi-ECU, read errors, stabilization, give speed. All right, so a lot of steering and DSC related stuff. Yaw rate, yaw is steering related, and then all this is all steering. So we're going to clear all the errors and see what pops back up. All right, so the DSC stuff looks like it's gonna wanna be driven out. So what we'll do is close the message and go take this thing for a drive. So the car feels a lot better. Seems like the steering might be slightly off, but I think that the tie rod might have been bent prior and it was aligned to be bent. So that might be what's kind of throwing it out of spec now. But overall, it's driving straight enough that it can at least go to an alignment center and be finished up properly. I'm surprised that things aren't undoing themselves on the chassis stabilization side of things. We might have to come back in with the BMW computer. It actually feels pretty straight. That was just a rough road. But here you can see it's dead center and driving straight. Can't really ask for a better result. And I think that's why they allow it to be a tow and go type deal, but with actually replacing the tie rod, because they give you that measurement, makes it close enough that it can just, you know, be flat rated rather than go on an alignment rack. Although weirdly enough, at the end of that service procedure, it did say to put it on the alignment rack, but the name of this procedure was tie rod, tow, measurement, flat rate, no alignment. So kind of contradicted themselves there. So we don't really understand why that tie rod broke as of now. So if we get an answer for that in the future, we're going to do some digging to see if anyone else had the same issue, and then we'll also go and contact BMW North America, see what they might think the issue is. Just knowing that similar chassis have recalls out and open over the same tie rod steering in the exact same location, it's a little suspect. So as of now, we're probably just going to upload this video without a reason, but in the future, if you might be looking at this, if we find out, we'll update this video. So if for some reason we don't figure out why that broke, then at least we have a valuable video and showing you guys how to replace the inner and outer tie rod on an F97 X3M Competition package. As always, thanks for watching BavhausTV. Hopefully help you out today.